I believe that Dr. Brown will agree with me as the governor of Alabama that since President Nixon himself came out in 1968 and said that he was against the busing of school children, as now allowed by this decision, should take some initiative and action in the Congress of the United States to prohibit the same. And as you know, Vice President Agnew has spoken out very strongly upon it. And I feel that when the people of this region of the country become as upset about rulings such as this involving their children, the same as they became upset about the Lieutenant Calley decision, that in my judgment something will eventually be done within the law. I might also say that I have asked Dr. Brown some time ago to make a survey of the schools in this state that have been arbitrarily closed, and as a result of such arbitrary closing has brought about inconvenience to parents, both black and white, their children having to get up sometimes as early as 4:30 in the morning, being transported long distances in a county or long distances within a city. This survey being made for the purpose of going into court in the not too distant future before the next school year and asking that some of these schools be reopened on a non-discriminatory freedom of choice basis. We recognize the decision of 1954 says there can be no assignment because of race, but under this suit that we expect to file sometime before the next school year, it will be a suit based on objectivity and logic and reason and for the convenience of the parents and the children who attend these schools. I think this is another decision by another court that indicates that drastic judicial change ought to come about. And I recognize that there's not too much any one particular state can do about this particular matter. But I think this decision is going to have its political repercussions, and someday, I think within the political context, we are going to get some relief. Also wishes to make a statement about this matter. That's an important matter not only to the people of this state.
All court rulings on desegregation which forced parents, in black or white, to send their children away from their local schools is a disservice to the children, and it imposes hardships upon local boards of education and school administrators. Busing children when they have not been transported previously subjects them to the hazards of traffic and adds expenses to the operation of the school system. When arbitrary busing creates additional expense for the schools, and when consolidation of schools is arbitrarily imposed from the federal level, monies to cover the cost of busing, as well as to equip and construct school buildings which are adequate, should be made available from the federal level. All schools in all states should have federal laws applied in the same manner. We feel that it is wrong for a double or triple standard of justice to be applied from the federal level. It is unmistakably clear that federal laws are not being applied in the same manner to all sections of the country. This situation should be remedied by the Congress and by the federal courts.
Support the Urban League nationally. We are, as you know, a social observer in the audience this morning, some of the top black and white men.
After the Urban League is established, and I say after the Urban League is established because we feel it will be,
to make a prediction on that, I don't think anybody could. The National Board Chairman, Mr. Jim Lennon, who's the president of Time Life magazine, appointed last week a committee, a search committee of the Board of Directors of the National Urban League that will have its primary responsibility to seek out candidates for this purpose. And as soon as all the papers are in, the chart is complete.
Mr. Young, has the Southern Christian Leadership Conference?
No, I do not. And I think the reason why that is only the one in Greene County is concerned with the matter of working with the black elected officials. They have a majority of the population there, as you know, and control the boards of education and the county commissions. And Lowndes County, Alabama, we're simply concerned with a program of leadership development. We are trying to help people in Lowndes County to understand something about community life, something about the responsibility of citizenship, and the importance of being a part of the civic action in the community. In Greene County, as I mentioned, that is where we've been requested to help them to learn new ways of economically developing Greene County. In Indianola, Mississippi, we're concerned with the large number of black people that were damaged as a result of the tornado that struck out there just a short time ago. It's an interesting coalition that's responsible for the Indianola office. We are funded by the American Red Cross, which, as you know, is commissioned by Congress to deal with problems associated with fiscal disasters.
We spend a lot of money. We spend an awful lot. Some $40 billion a year. That's the black market, the amount that black people spend in this country. But only about 2% of that remains in our community. You know, we spend it and give it away to somebody else. But how do you keep it in our community? How do you reverse that flow of dollars? It's all going out now. Let's bring some of it in. How do you do it? Not only by getting jobs, but by gaining ownership of income-producing properties. That is, houses and businesses. Produce jobs, produce income, pool resources, start banks, pool resources and merge existing small businesses to make bigger businesses. I also think we ought to get away from depositing all of our little earnings in a savings bank. Let's invest it in some companies. Invest it where we can wield some power by attending stockholders' meetings and engaging in proxy voting. But let's move into the economic mainstream of the nation's life. If you're going to gain power in this country, if you're going to improve the status of our people, remember, the way to do it is by showing that you have the capacity to impose sanctions. That's power. Don't think that the time is coming when everybody's going to love you. No, that time's not coming. Not within our lifetime. When the kingdom of God comes, everybody might love us. But in the meantime, if we can get enough economic strength and political strength, then even people who hate you will negotiate with you and deal with you. For the desegregation, for blacks to sit down together, to have their organizations, and to organize for pressure and for power, to help to make decisions, to make the decisions which affect your lives. There will be no solution to the problem of the black principals or the black teachers unless blacks are organized throughout the state of Alabama and every other state. So don't hesitate to organize. Get together. Remember that you're a member of a group. That does not mean that we are exclusive. Yes, we go gladly into integrated setups. We have fought too hard for it to deny it now. We will go there. But remember that you have got to unite as a people, too. You know, if you stick together, you can save yourselves.
And we were told that Alabama has everything else that they want to come into our state except this particular a program of this type, and they're not telling us what to do, but they're telling us what they want. So it's now up to us to decide in what direction we want to go, whether we want to take this state forward industrially and develop a system of industry in Alabama or an industrial complex that will give all of our people better jobs, and that we will upgrade the people we have now in the labor force, and we'll create jobs at the bottom, at the minimum wage level, for people who are now unemployed. So this program could have great consequences in the future.
First of all, I'd like to make it clear that we're not talking about changing any of the existing programs in the trade school program as it is now set up. What we're talking about is adding a new scope or a new dimension to the trade school system as we now have it, and this would be, in a nutshell, what it is. We would be able to provide, say, if XYZ Corporation and any part of the United States wanted to locate its facility in Alabama, and they had to have 1,000 employees of a highly skilled type, they could tell our department exactly what they wanted and when they wanted it, assuming we'd gotten to that negotiating stage. And this could be done by what we would consider a crash program in training. And the people who would then go to work for this company would be trained by the state of Alabama and go to work for this company on the day they go into production. And this can be done, and we feel that this will be probably the most significant step forward in the industry-seeking concept in Alabama and the development of Alabama that we've seen in many, many years.
Peace in Southeast Asia has to be a peace that can be kept, not one that becomes a deadly trap for our grandchildren. Now, once and for all, we want the whole package. We want peace with the assurance of freedom, peace with the assurance of the right of self-determination of people. And we accept the paradox of being willing to fight for peace, because when peace comes, we want it to last. Now, it's difficult to keep sight of this larger objective. The American people have lost patience with this war, yet in terms of overall policy, consider how much has been accomplished in recent decades because of the United States' efforts on behalf of its Asian allies. Japan has emerged as economically the most powerful nation in Asia. South Korea, protected by one of the finest armies in Asia, is building an industrial economy. Formosa, the Philippines, Thailand are stable developing nations. Indonesia is working toward a more balanced economy and a bulwark of democracy. South Vietnam will soon have its military forces developed to a point of self-sufficiency. At this point, it's difficult for the American people to see anything optimistic about the Vietnam War. After all, there are many presidential hopefuls in the Senate who have an important stake in maintaining a national pessimism on Vietnam. But peace in Vietnam is not going to bring the millennium in the morning. It is not going to quiet those voices whose discontent goes deeper than Vietnam, who claim that our very system of government is outmoded and outdated. Nor will it rid this country of those idiots with a twisted vision who plant bombs in the nation's capital. I cannot help but contemplate the vast difference between a group gathered here such as this assembled out of love of your country, and the bombers who act only out of hatred for this country.
To my long friendship with him, that I'm given this opportunity and this personal honor to place his name in nomination for
105 ayes and 1 abstention. The chair declares Mr. Sage Lyons elected Speaker of this House.
I
State your name.
G. Sage Lyons,
Solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Alabama,
and the Constitution of the State of Alabama,
so long as I continue a citizen thereof.
Own general knowledge of law, that the present Speaker, if elected today, will acquire tenure by service as 1 more year in that office. The law of the state of Alabama, Title 32, Section 17, provides that after 9 years, is particularly important. I think there are 2
Secondly, Macon County, for the last 4 years, as you gentlemen know who have been here, much better than I, has had no representation at all. However, during this 4-year period of time, we have had either 3 or 4 legislative agents. And even our own governing body didn't know on several occasions who the local legislative agent was.
And I would ask you to disregard any statement, any implication that there is no representation simply because we do not live in those counties.
The wonderful remarks in my nominating speech by the gentleman from Marshall and seconded by the gentleman from Claiborne.
Senator Pelham's father, Judge Joe M. Pelham, Jr.,
I think that it's very, very important, if we're ever going to have any kind of legislative independence, that we start electing our own people that we think should be our leaders, and not people that the governor thinks or somebody else thinks should be our leaders. And someday, sometime, somebody's going to beat the governor's designee. And whenever they do, the Senate is going to be a little bit better off, a little more independent, and a little more, they're going to have a little more self-respect, and they're going to deserve a little more self-respect from the constituents. Now, I feel that very, very strongly. There's nothing personal in this thing. I consider Senator Pierre Pelham my friend. We have been together on many things. We have been on opposite sides on many things. I don't think he considers this a personal matter as far as I'm concerned. But regardless of that, there is a principle involved, I think, that is far, far greater than any personal or personalities that might be involved.
Yes, John, it's in Hollywood. It's the Virginia Graham show out of Hollywood. We're going to tape Wednesday. We're going out today to meet a lot of people that will be able to help me with recording later. And then on February the 22nd, it's the Mike Douglas show, taped in Philadelphia. And then we're talking to Ed Sullivan. He's gotten in touch with us about middle of March, getting on his show. So we're real happy. Everything's working good.
It seems like you're well on your way. Are you planning now to pursue your singing career?
Oh yes, I'm going to stick with it. Of course, I'm going to stay in school. I'm at university and finish there, and then go to law school. But I'm going to stick with music and do what I can with it.
The first real big hit to you right now, Missing You. How is it doing throughout the nation?
It's doing good. It was shipped nationally last week and this week, and it's already a big hit in Los Angeles. It's getting a lot of play, and it's we've had full-page layouts in all the trade papers, and it looks real good.
What are your plans now as far as new material, or planning to do other shows? Do you plan to take to the road as far as one-night stands?
Yeah, well, I've been playing some one-nighters with Hank Williams Jr., you know, Hank Williams Jr. and myself. And as far as new material, I've written a couple of songs that I'm going to cut in late February. That my next single will be one that I wrote myself.
How do you feel about appearing on this program in Los Angeles?
I'm really excited. I'm a little nervous, you know. It's the first national TV program I've ever been on, but I'm looking forward to it.
The goal of government This surplus was made possible by efficient administration of the state's affairs. This state government is big business, the biggest business there is in Alabama. It ought to be run like a business, and we've tried to do that.
the carpool with the resulting savings in vehicle purchases, gasoline, and repairs, the centralization of computers, careful and competitive purchasing of state insurance, and the elimination of assistant department heads where such were not needed, have saved our state millions of dollars, allowing us to provide increased benefits for our less fortunate citizens, and even the construction of 2 new state buildings without borrowing funds for such construction. These, then, have been good years for Alabama. They've been years free from the influence of extremist groups and activities in our state. They've been years free from civil strife and disorder. They have been years of peace and progress. I'm proud of the record of the administration which bears my name. I'm proud of what has been accomplished during the past 32 months to make Alabama a better place to live. I came into office under very tragic and extremely difficult circumstances. Fate thrust into my hands the reins of state government. History will tell how well we met our responsibilities. Certainly it is with some sadness that I will shortly leave state service. But the sadness I feel is nothing compared to the deep, deep appreciation I have for having had the opportunity to serve as governor of the greatest state in the nation. May the Lord, who has been so good to me, be as good to you and all our people. Thank you very much.